Hey guys, it's Evan the Cat King here with another video. Today, I'd like to talk about the custom, season of Total Drama, fan-made type season of Total Drama, Disventure Camp. Now, quite a few other YouTubers have talked about this. One in particular I would suggest looking at is Silly Billy if you haven't seen his videos on it. He's done reactions to this stuff. He's talked about the characters. But I decided I wanted to make my own video on the subject and what I think of this season. Now, I really like Disventure Camp. I think it's not over yet. There's there's down to like six competitive no or it's down to five people left, and I think it's like 2 episodes left. I think. But either way, we have it. Disventure Camp is a. I'm like really excited to see what happens with this, how it's gonna end. And I wanted to talk about a few things about it, like the characters, all the challenges and stuff. Of course, I don't hear enough people talking about the fact that this season is technically the sequel to another season of the title Adventure Camp. And I wanted to talk about that because down here we have Adventure Camp. And I kind of wanted to look at both seasons at the same time and kind of compare and see, kind of figure out which I think is a better season. Of course, it's not entirely fair because Disventure Camp hasn't ended yet. My opinions on things might change by the time the finale comes, by the time it's over. But either way, right now, but yeah, I wanted to talk about it, and I thought might as well start talking about the characters of Total Drama Adventure Camp. This one actually had Total Drama in the title. Now, thought might as well start with the first season that they made, and I wanted to talk about the 3 characters that I find to be the best right off the bat here. Tom, Miriam, and Fiore. These 3 are, in my opinion, the best characters in Adventure Camp. You got Tom, who's like a spy who used to work for Chef. There's I will probably put in the title spoiler alert, but this is, and he kind of gets quite a bit of depth to him as well. And he's the kind of the main protagonist throughout most of the season, and he's a pretty interesting dude. I really like Tom. He's just a really fun and cool dude. Fiore, she is I think she's the main antagonist of the season. She makes it to the final 2, which I thought was awesome because she's a little child. She's a literal child. She is 6 years old, and she's competing in this competition, and she makes it to the final 2. I think that that's awesome, and the fact that she's an antagonist, too, is just so much more fun. I was so worried that she was just gonna be, a secondary antagonist, but they went all in and gave her the main antagonist role, I think. And it was really cool, and there's certain things that she does. I might talk about it a bit later when I'm talking about some of the other characters. And then for Miriam, I mean, at first, I absolutely hated her. She was so annoying. She was just being an absolute jerk to everyone. I thought that she was going to be first boot. I thought that she was 100% first boot material, but they ended up giving her a lot more development than I expected. And, the story that she tells, Tom and Jake is a very, just, sad story. And honestly, it makes me, come to the nearly crying every single time I watch it. Of course, the one problem with Adventure Camp, is the fact that there isn't an English version. But I'm pretty sure that they are remaking it. They are remaking Adventure Camp, and they are going to have English version, which I am very excited for. So these are my 3 favorite characters from Adventure Camp, and I really like these 3. They're very interesting and fun characters. Well, yeah. Then for the characters that I find relatively, they're still good, but they're not too great. They're not really great. We have Nick, who's a rich, spoiled guy who tries to just buy people. I find it very funny that he's kind of going around trying to, like, saying, like, oh, maybe if I give her $500, she'll go on a date with me, or stuff like that. And he's so just gullible, and then he's just a complete goober, and it's really funny, and he's trying his best, but he just can't do it. He's kind of failing. I see a lot of people really like Nick. I like Nick, but I don't find him to be like the top tier that some people put him as. So yeah, so there's Nick. Gabby, I think she's interesting to me. I liked, she was a very early boot, and I was really sad about that. She seemed like she had a lot of depth. She was a bit crazy on the nuttier side of everything, but she was very much like, she was an interesting character. Like, when he was, like, on her own in the one, like, boat challenge, and she started, like, talking to herself, that was a really fun moment, and I was really hoping that she'd make it to the merge and possibly go on to get a lot more character development. But, yeah. I'll talk about Jake now. Jake, I'm sure he's probably a fan favorite among Adventure Camp watchers, but for me, I find him really whiny. He gets upset so easily. Like, anything that isn't, like, he gets upset over the fact that Tom was, like, hiding the fact that he had, like, really bad scars from him, and, like, he was kind of just a whiny little piece of crap, not gonna lie. I didn't really care too much for Tom, for Jake. I mean, he was fine enough. I think Jake is a good character, and I'm excited. I really liked him and Tom, but at the same time, he was just not as. He wasn't yeah, I don't know. To me, he came off as whiny. Gret, I was worried that she was going to be the main antagonist. It felt like they were building her up to be the main antagonist, but I'm really happy that they didn't go with that. Instead, they had Fiore being the main antagonist. Because Gret was another antagonist. She was a secondary or co-main antagonist. It's very strange, but either way, Gret was, I think she was pretty fun. She was interesting enough. I mean, she didn't get too much character development. Her whole, like, thing was that she was, like, a pageant girl or something. I don't know. Or who won, like, beauty contests or stuff. I can't exactly remember. But she was fine enough in there. They got rid of her at the right time. She was kind of getting a bit stale by the time it was her time to go. So, I mean, yeah. And then Ellie. Everybody seems to really like Ellie, and I think Ellie is a great character. Just, I have one problem with her, and this is the biggest spoiler of the episode. She freaking wins. I didn't see Ellie as a winner. If anything, I would have very much liked to see Jake win over her. I mean, the final 2 was her and Fiore, and the fact that when I was going into watching the first time, rooting for Fiore, who was the antagonist of the season, kind of shows how much I didn't really want Ellie to win. I think that she's an interesting enough, she was pretty good character, like, her, like, being a bit more, like, I guess, like, not social as some of the other people, but then still getting friends like Gabby and Jake. But, like, it's in the end, I just didn't feel as if she should have won. Now, so that's my one problem with Ellie. If she hadn't have won, she probably could have been up here with these three. But because she won, that kind of made her not as likable to me. Now, on to the characters that I find mediocre. I'd like to say none of these characters are bad. Adventure Camp and Disventure Camp are 100% better than, like, Pockatail Island and All Stars for sure. I'd have to come up with, I'd have to think about stuff like Revenge of the Island and other stuff, but now these are the characters that I just didn't really care for too much. Ashley, I think her name was, I kind of was thinking that she might be, like, the big, like a protagonist type character, and I mean, she kind of wasn't there very interesting. I think his name is Dan, and Will, of course. I couldn't find any photos of Will, so I kind of just wrote his name. They were all too early of boots. If we had gotten more of them, I feel like they could have been more interesting, but we didn't get enough of them. And what would have made Ashley really good to me is if it was kind of a Heather Lindsay situation, because she was kind of like a protecting Fiore throughout for like the first like 2 episodes, but then like halfway through the third one, she finds out that Fiore is just like really smart and is manipulating her and thinks of her as a peasant. I would have found it so interesting if they had Fiore use Ashley throughout more of the competition, kind of like Heather did with Lindsay, and then, I don't know, just dumping her eventually. That would have been so much better. I mean, and she gets eliminated because Fiore and Gret literally tranquilize her. And then for Lil, she had a potential, and she got a bit of more character development, I guess. Like, but she was... I didn't really... She was like a Girl Scout coach, and yet she was very, like, against Fiore. She was like, oh, she can write and read. Oh my god, that means she's definitely suspicious. What's wrong with her being just smart? I don't get it, but either way... Lil was also not great. So, that is my thought on all the characters in Adventure Camp. Now, for Disventure Camp. These 6 I find to be very, very good characters. Disventure Camp has no bad characters, just like Adventure Camp. But it has so far, we haven't seen the finale, we haven't seen it end yet, but we do have, Aiden and James, who I hope are like the final 2. If they somehow make it to the final 2, that would be very cool. Lake, who I'm really surprised isn't like in the final 2. When I watched the first episode, I instantly thought that the final 2 was going to be Lake and Hunter. But Lake is gone, Hunter is still in it. And I think she got a lot of character development, and it was very cool and interesting, so I really grew to like her as like a stressed out person, and like I felt like I could relate to that. And then there's Tess, Allie, and Hunter, the love triangle type thing. The gamer girl, what's up? I don't know how to explain Hunter. And then Tess being kind of depressed. They had a lot of nice moments and not a lot of just good, heartfelt, cute things that happened to them, and I'm interested in seeing where the whole love triangle thing goes. Allie and Tess are gone. Hunter, like, it's a very confusing situation. I don't know who... I'm assuming Hunter will be in the finale. I'm assuming, because... I mean, otherwise, this whole, like, because you need to pull off this whole love triangle thing. I think it would be best to have them finish it off in the finale, but either way. So, those 6 characters, I think, are all incredible. Then there's the other 8, who I think are also really good. There are no, like, not good characters in Disventure Camp. You have Oliver, who was the first boot, but he stuck around. What I really love about Disventure Camp is how they've utilized people who have gone home, who have lost the game. We have seen all of the first, like, 5 boots return in some capacity so far in the game. Because Oliver, he lost and then became an intern. So he's still sticking around. And then the next one eliminated was Carol, who eventually returned down the line. And, like, that was a very fun twist. And I thought that she was going to be the main antagonist there. But they kind of just eliminated her. Disqualified her because she, like, broke her leg or something. But either way, I'm gonna hold out hope that maybe Carol will return so we can get that main antagonist, or that one of my favorite characters, Yule, will return. Yule was a very evil, just absolutely awful person, and I really loved it. He was such a good, like, I thought that for sure he was gonna be the main antagonist, but then James absolutely just completely poisoned him. And then, alright, there was also Kai, Maggie, and Connor. Connor, we saw him, he was willing to hire Oliver. He's a cool, chill dude. Kai and Maggie are off in the woods doing something about I don't exactly know. And then we have Rhea and Rosa Maria. Now, I don't exactly know what to think of these two. Right now, they're still in the game. I do really like their characters, especially Rosa Maria's. I think her, like, single mom, she's a young single mom, and she's really just had to fight her whole life, and now she's fighting in the game. I think it's a very good story, and I'd root for her, but, like, she's not as interesting as other characters. Same with Rhea. Rhea, well, she's gotten more character development in the most recent episodes, but that doesn't mean that, but either way, both characters, I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up winning the whole game. I wouldn't be surprised if Rhea or Rosa Maria actually won it. Because looking back at what they did with Adventure Camp, someone who I thought was a bit of a non-important character in Ellie kind of won. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them won. But either way, that's the characters. And of course, there are other things to take in mind. I'd like to mention, like, the hosts, because both seasons have different hosts. With Adventure Camp having that weird dude who kidnapped Chris and took his place as the host. It was a very interesting change of events. But at the same time, even though that was all going on, he was just not that interesting as a dude. He was kind of just a stereotypical host dude. He didn't get much development to him. Meanwhile, Disventure Camp has done great with the host. Crystal is Chris's daughter, and she has gotten a lot of development. She's, like, kind of started going crazy like Chris, but then recently she's realized the error of her ways with the help of, like, Oliver and them, and it's just so interesting. So, in my opinion, Disventure Camp has better characters, 100%. I will say that Adventure Camp's characters aren't bad. They are very good. One thing that Adventure Camp does that I think Disventure Camp could do better with is, challenges. Adventure Camp has a lot of interesting new challenge ideas that were all very cool. Some of the challenges didn't last very long, which, like, But that's just kind of sadly the challenges aren't the main point of these seasons. It doesn't feel. I feel like it's more about the characters and like relationships. It's kind of like, and the challenges aren't too important. Meanwhile, I feel as if Disventure Camp challenges feel like repeats of previous Total Drama challenges, and there's nothing wrong with that. But still, I feel like, I feel like they skip over some things like James and Aiden finding a bike, or like people building sleds, and it's just a shame. But either way, I think in the end, I do think so far Disventure Camp is better than Adventure Camp. It's a very good season. And a great follow-up to Adventure Camp. Just I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Disventure Camp will end up kind of losing me in its finale. Maybe the finale will be Rosa Maria and Rhea, and I'll be kind of disappointed. But either way, currently at this point in time, Disventure Camp has proven to be a great second season and a better season than Adventure Camp. They're both really good seasons, and I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't bat an eye if they were actual Total Drama seasons, because they're just so well made. And I really hope that the people, I think Odd Nation Cartoons, keeps going with it, and I hope they keep making more seasons, because these are absolutely incredible. And if you haven't seen either of these seasons, I'd go check them out. Just keep in mind, Adventure Camp is only in like whatever it's only in like Spanish, so you might not be able to, like, I don't know. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed. I really wanted to talk about Disventure Camp. I've really enjoyed watching it. I've watched every single episode. I've seen the whole season of Adventure Camp, and I just really hope you guys will go check it out if you haven't, or I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I guess I'll see you guys next time. If you're wondering on stuff like who would win books, who would win books will be the most recent Who Would Win book that I'm making has proven to be a bit harder to make than I expected. It's kind of a bit of a taller task for me, so it might take a bit longer for it, but anyways, see you guys next time. Bye!